Now, if you're looking to activate that wildcard over the international break, don't worry, I've got you covered with the ultimate guide and of course the best team for the Game Week 12 wildcard. Now, before we dive into today's video, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as it does mean the absolute world to me, and we are trying to now hit 15,000 subscribers by the end of the season, and it is only possible with your guys' help. Now, before we dive into the team, I always like to take a look at obviously previous data and projected data coming up. So let's take a look first at expected goals conceded. I feel this is a really good barometer for teams we should be looking to target, and obviously teams we probably should be looking to avoid from both an attacking and a defensive perspective. And as we can see here, for the expected goals conceded, the top defences in the league, or the top 5, are Liverpool, no real shock there. Nottingham Forest, who've had a great start to the season, again, no real surprise there. Arsenal, I know they've not kept many clean sheets, but they're still one of the top teams for XG conceded. Fulham have been pretty decent, and Spurs and City pretty much level as well. Both teams have been fairly leaky, but according to this metric, they are still doing quite well on the old expected goals conceded. So probably worth investing in these defences over the next few weeks. In terms of teams we probably want to be looking to target, I don't think there's real kind of any discussion point here, because we've kind of known for a while that Ipswich, Southampton and Leicester are some of the worst teams within the Premier League, especially from a defensive perspective. Obviously Wolves, Brentford, West Ham kind of fit into that next category as well. They're all ridiculously close to these kind of bottom sides as well. So again, might be worth potentially avoiding some of their defenders, and of course looking to target these teams with our attacking fixtures coming up as well. In terms of the expected goals numbers for the first 11 game weeks as well, as we can see, Manchester City top, no real surprise there. They've always been a team that's been able to create plenty of opportunities. Now I know they're on this 4-game winless run, but I don't expect that to continue. They've obviously got KDB back, I think, as well. Of course, they are still creating the most opportunities, as we can see here in the league as well. And I do think they will get back to their winning ways. I think once they start to get some players in, maybe Pep makes a few tactical changes, I think they'll be back to their winning ways as well. We've known Spurs for a while have been a pretty decent attacking lineup as well. They've just probably been a little bit unfortunate in front of goal. Liverpool and Chelsea, no real surprises there, 2 of the top teams. The teams that are kind of outlying towards the top are, of course, Bournemouth and Brentford. Brentford this season have made, I would say, a tactical switch where they're no longer concerned about XG conceded or defending or keeping clean sheets. They're pretty much a gun-ho side now, and most game weeks they end up with a pretty kind of, high scoring game, lots of goals involved. So Mbuemo, Vissa still could be very, very decent options going forward. Maybe some of their defensive assets, as we can see with their high XG conceded, probably not worth any sort of investment. Bournemouth are a pretty good overall unit as well to be invested in. Some pretty decent fixtures coming up for them over the next few weeks, so definitely worth some consideration, not only from a defensive point but also an attacking point as well. So let's move on to the 11FI data. Again, if you want to go and check this out, I will leave a link in the description. This is completely free and available on their website, so go and check it out. This is the clean sheet percentages for the next 6 game weeks. Of course, we always see the top kind of 3 teams kind of just swap around positions every single week. Arsenal, City and Liverpool, they are the 3 best teams within the league in my personal opinion. Arsenal are really fancied over the next few weeks, kind of above everybody else as well in terms of their clean sheet potential as well. Some really, really high numbers in here, so definitely worth some consideration into their defence. Obviously, City is still fancied quite highly up, but I think with the way that they've played this season, they've been seeing a lot of sloppy goals as well. So for me, probably not a team I'm going to be looking to invest in. Liverpool, on the other hand, as well, they're here. They've got good projected clean sheets over the next few weeks, despite some difficult fixtures coming up. They are also the best team in the league for XG conceded. So for me, big pluses, definitely a team I would be looking to target. Chelsea look pretty decent value as well going forward, as do Newcastle as well, with some great fixtures on the horizon for them. Brighton are quite high on this list, and I do feel, might be worth some consideration, but the way that they defend and how low down they were on the old XG conceded chart as well, probably not going to enter any sort of decisions. Again, we're seeing Bournemouth quite high up on this list, so definitely worth some consideration consideration with a few of their players. Moving on to the expected goals or goals created projected model for the next few weeks as well from 11ify. Again, it is those same three teams, Manchester City, Arsenal and Liverpool over that period, and there's no real kind of shock there. They are some of the best teams for creating opportunities. We saw that within the last section as well, and I don't expect things to change, especially with City having players coming back as well. So maybe could be worth building a few Erling Haaland drafts and seeing how they go. Obviously, the one that I built for this video does not contain Erling Haaland. I'll talk through the process, why I've done that in a little bit, but it could be worth some consideration, maybe keeping hold of him, maybe with KDB back as well, and some decent projected goal numbers here, that it could be worth potentially keeping him as well. Arsenal are fancied across this time period, as are Liverpool as well, so Mohamed Salah looking like a decent captaincy option, especially in match day 12 as well. That's probably why a lot of people are going to be wildcarding. They don't have a clear way to Mohamed Salah, so, you know, getting in there nice and early with this good game week could be a big difference maker as well in terms of rank. Chelsea's across the board are really, really decent as well. So Cole Palmer definitely going to be on the radar. Nicholas Jackson as well, another player that might potentially enter your thought process. But I think with the amount of yellow cards he's on, probably not going to be a player I'm personally going to consider. Instead, I'm probably going to be looking at Alexander Isak from Newcastle. As we can see here, some decent projected goal numbers across the board for Newcastle. He's found his feet and started actually scoring some Premier League goals as well. So again, definitely worth some consideration there. Aston Villa, probably a team that we're not really kind of discussing too much within the community at the moment, but they do have some pretty decent fixtures. Obviously a few difficult fixtures thrown in there around 17 and of course in match day 13, but the rest are still pretty decent. I think if Watkins was a little bit cheaper, he probably would be entering the thought process right now. However, with his more elevated price point, it makes it extremely difficult to go and get him into the side, as well as cramming in plenty of high quality premiums as well. Obviously we've spoke about Bournemouth in length. Again, they're still fancied across this board, as are Brighton in terms of those projected goal numbers as well over the next few weeks. So definitely worth some consideration. Manchester United as well also have some pretty decent-ish fixtures that we probably should be looking to target across the next few weeks. Those were the 11ify data and of course the XG conceded and XG created from the opening 11 game weeks. Let me know what you think of that down in the comment section below, and let's move on and take a look at how my team is lining up with this game week 12 wildcard draft. Like I said at the top of the video, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as it does mean the world to me and helps me hit these kind of milestones for the channel as well. Right, let's start off first with our two goalkeepers. We're going to have Raya and we are going to have Fabianski. As we saw with the 11ify projected data, Arsenal's fixtures are looking pretty decent over the next few. There's good high probability of clean sheets, and Arsenal have still been one of the best teams for XG conceded so far this season. I know Raya has been a disappointing own for most, including myself, as Arsenal haven't really managed to keep too many clean sheets. However, there aren't a plethora of goalkeepers that I'm absolutely dying to go and pick up if I was on a wild card this week. Obviously, Sells is the standout at 4.5, but with Forest's fixtures starting to turn away, we're also seeing, you know, a reduction in clean sheet percentages from 11ify going forward. Probably not going to be a team I'm looking to invest in, despite decent starts of the season. Their fixtures really do start to get a little bit more difficult, and we will probably see them start to slide down that XG conceded chart. So I think Raya still could be a decent way into the Arsenal defence. Obviously, you've got Fabianski with West Ham having some decent fixtures from game week 14 as well. If he can manage to keep his place as a 4 million goalkeeper, could be a very viable option with a 4.5 and kind of take all the budget out of the back line as much as possible and spread it further forward. However, for now, like I said, with the 11ify data, I am looking to keep obviously some in the back line, and we are going to obviously use Raya as our cheap and alternative way within to that Arsenal back line. But we do have Fabianski there if we want to obviously swap Raya if it's still not working out in that regard as well. Let's move on to our 5 defenders. We've not got any 4 million playing guys here, but we have got is some really decent I would say from 4.4 all the way up to around 5.3 where Canate is at. I feel all of these guys rotate exceptionally well with each other and all have their own decent things to merit. Obviously, we saw Liverpool were one of the best teams in the league for XG conceded. That is also expected to continue as well over the next few weeks with good projected data from 11ify as well. So that feels like a very good pick. Obviously, Liverpool do have some more difficult fixtures coming up, but I think with the solidity of that defence, I would quite feel comfortable playing Konate in some of these more difficult games. However, we do have Kirkez and we do have Hall on the bench if needs be, and obviously our other defenders as well to rotate around Konate's difficult fixtures. Wolves go on this pretty amazing run all the way up till game week 18. Aït-Nouri is one of those players as well that isn't famed for keeping clean sheets. It is more the attacking returns for him. So far, he's picked up 5 attacking returns so far this season, and when you watch him from an eye test perspective, he gets into positions that just makes you a little bit erect. I can't describe it. It's just where he shouldn't be as a defender. He's in these positions. He's getting the big opportunities as well. Obviously, we saw that the 11FI data isn't great for projected clean sheets going forward with Wolves. Obviously, they've not been a great defense overall as a unit, but I think it is more down to the attacking input and hopefully a couple clean sheets with some decent fixtures that will sway it for Aït-Nouri. Obviously, Levi Colwill does have a flag, so do make sure that he is fully fit and available, but he is a player that is definitely on my radar in terms of personal transfers as well. Chelsea have got this absolutely amazing fixture run coming up, and realistically, you could hold Chelsea players all the way up until game week 28. There's a few difficult fixtures spotted in and around there, but there's never a run of kind of 3 to 4 games where it's all extremely difficult. So having him at that 4.5 million bracket, you could very easily just rotate him when the more difficult fixtures come and keep this guy all the way up till game week 28. He's obviously playing for a pretty decent side as well with good projected clean sheets coming forward. So I like Levi Colwill as a potential differential pick within the back line as well. Kirkez has been pretty phenomenal so far this season for Bournemouth as well. 2 assists for him. However, the only problem I would have with him, and maybe the reason I'd be a little bit put off, is obviously the amount of rotation we've seen so far this season from Bournemouth, and I expect that to probably continue over this busy Christmas period, should I say. So obviously having a player that isn't always featuring or isn't always within the starting lineup might not be the best idea. However, at 4.4 million, he could be worth a little bit of a gamble, a little bit of a steal with some decent fixtures coming up for Bournemouth, but obviously relying too much on him, probably not going to be the answer as well, with some heavy rotation expected over a busy Christmas period. Lewis Hall, I think, has played the last 6 games full 90 minutes as well, so he looks a really decent option at 4.4 million. There's some great fixtures coming up for Newcastle as well. We saw that with the 11FI data as well. Another team fancied for decent projected clean sheets over the next few weeks. So again, I feel very comfortable about having Hall, and overall I feel this is a really strong defensive unit that has some players that can obviously pick up attacking returns in Aït-Nouri and Kirkez, and then I feel like we've just got our solid centre-back picks that will play the majority of the minutes and hopefully pick up some clean sheets in Konate and Levi Colwill. But let me know what you think of this defence down in the comments section. Let's move on into our midfield, and first up we're going to have Bruno Fernandes. I just quickly need to put the armband on Mohamed Salah. Give me a second. Make captain. There we go, just like that. Bruno Fernandes is going to be our first midfielder within this lineup as well. He could be a great captaincy option as well that you potentially would look to go for this game week as well. Him and Manchester United have slowly began to purr, slowly started to get themselves into gear. Obviously they're going to have a new manager, and whether or not the new manager bounce will kick in, we will have to wait and see, and whether or not the impact of Bruno Fernandes is felt. However, for the next few, I feel he could be a decent option. Some good projected numbers from 11FI in terms of those creativity as well. So I think he could be a decent pickup for the next few weeks, and then maybe look to make that switch to maybe like a Jared Bowen in game week 14, then look to potentially pick Bryan Mbeumo back up around game week 18. That's probably the plan I would have for this midfield position. Bruno for the next few weeks, then switch to Bowen, then back to Bryan Mbeumo when Brentford's fixtures do pick back up. Palmer's in here. Obviously, he's withdrew from the England squad. Same goes for Bukayo Saka as well. So let's lump these two lads together. Obviously, at the moment, it looks like it's more just a precautionary, and hopefully they should be back for game week 12. However, if not, then I do feel like you have to start to maybe make some sacrifices and potentially go and get Erling Haaland in here and have a team of maybe like a Palmer, Salah, Haaland, or a Saka, Salah, Haaland, depending on which one maybe is out more longer term as well. But both of these guys have decent fixtures over the next few. Both also represent really good alternative captaincy options as well, with some standout fixtures coming up. Again, Cole Palmer could be a really decent captaincy option in match day 12 as well, and I feel having kind of Palmer, Saka and Salah always means that you've probably got the best captain over the next few weeks. I think it's maybe around game week 15 is the only week where you probably would want Erling Haaland, but I believe Mohamed Salah covers him off pretty decently that week as well. Up until around game week 18, game week 19, all three of these for me represent better captaincy options than Erling Haaland, and that is why I've selected all three over Haaland himself. And I feel captaincy is such a big thing within this game. If you can get it right, it can be the difference between a red arrow and a green arrow, and sometimes it can be the difference between a 1 mil rank gain and a 1 mil rank loss. That's how big captaincy is in this game, and I feel having the best captaincy option every single week, or at least the options to have the best captaincy option every single week, is going to be such a big pivotal role for you in this game. So having Palmer, Saka and Salah for me, I think are the best three options over the next 6 to 7 game weeks, and you don't really need Erling Haaland. That's my opinion, but we all know what the robot is definitely capable of as well. On the bench, we do have Morgan Rogers. Again, just a nice little budget enabler. He plays decent minutes and is still continuing to prove people wrong and continuing to put in decent attacking performances as well. In terms of our midfield three, we've got forward three, we have Cunha, Isak and João Pedro. Let's start off with Cunha. He is the heartbeat of this Wolves side. There's no getting around it. Everything positive that Wolves do usually comes through this man. Obviously, with Hwang Hee-chan out injured as well, it means that he is on penalties, he takes corners, he takes free kicks. What's not to like at 6.7 million? Good fixtures for Wolves as well, all the way up until game week 18, so I'm very, very happy to hold him until that period. Alexander Isak has found his shooting boots, 3 goals within his past 5 games as well. Some decent fixtures coming up for Newcastle United over that period as well, and I do feel kind of puts a little bit more money within the attacking lineup as well. Arsenal, like I said, do have some decent fixtures, really pick up around game week 14, game week 15, and maybe if Isak isn't delivering at that point, you potentially could make the switch to Kai Havertz as well, whose minutes have been pretty secure so far this season within that striker role as well, so that's potentially something to consider. But at the moment, Isak is within a purple patch, getting back to the levels we saw from him last season as well, so I'm pretty happy with that one. Then we've got João Pedro, obviously came off the bench at the weekend with a goal and an assist, marking his return, and at 5.4 million could be an absolutely fantastic enabler that could pretty much allows you to build that midfield, as you can see behind it, all very capable of picking up double-digit hauls. João Pedro himself, very much a player that is capable of delivering the goods. We've seen that so far from him this season. On penalties, always knows how to find the goal, always pretty decent with his data. Brighton's fixtures as well are really good over the next few, and like I said, is a pretty decent enabler at 5.4 million. The only concern I do have is I don't think immediately he's going to dislodge Jorginho Ruta, but we will have to wait and see how that one does potentially pan out and who is the first choice number 10 within that squad. Brighton do have a lot of quality players though, so over this busy Christmas period, we could potentially see some more rotation for João Pedro, Welbeck, Ruta. All of these players that are obviously on people's radars as well could see quite a little bit of rotation. That was my game week 12 wildcard. Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. If you've got any questions about your team as well, get them in, as we will try to answer as many as we possibly can. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in game week 12.